What was it? Oh, I did period 6. Yeah, I'll put it on. I'll put it on the building piece.
Why'd you give me that drink? I didn't give you that face. You're like, I was like, why are you just standing there? I just came over to you.
That was in your visor in the work.
Oh my gosh, I'm like really confused. What are you dropping? I don't know why I have like her. I know, right?
Hey!
Don't grab anything, guys. Just go to your groups.
This was the
Don't grab anything from there. Don't take anything from that table.
everyone probably does it.
In the backside of this, all the way to the right. Well, you're gonna draw something today.
It's kind of this one. No, what are you doing?
Everybody in the seat so I can take a roll.
You took my drink too.
Huh? She has it. I didn't take your drink.
How was that funny? You said, why didn't I? My brother is
come down.
this weekend, so I might be gone Saturday, but if anything, you can Sunday. No, I might not. Maybe. I don't know. If it is, it's huh? That's like after the race. Just like watching everything happen. It will start raining Saturday, but no, honestly, it's like if anything, you might be and I went because I was trying to get free seconds but I like hid in the bathroom so my teacher and then we couldn't find a ride, so this fire truck was like, I don't know, we got in the fire truck and they like dropped us it was insane. I was panicking almost because I thought like the security guard was like I was in the car with the mom and I was like crazy, so like it was crazy. It's like the greatest story I knew about the problem is yeah. Sunday, my mom is coming out.
Harrison?
Yeah.
Ken Brown?
What was their playoffs?
Ken's not here?
No, it's the jar.
Jason Smith? Gilby's not here?
Well, if you want to get home. Oh, I don't know how to do it.
Najee?
Because my mom's weird about it, but you just go into random people. I don't know. Yeah, it's gonna be like.
Najee's not here. She'll be right there.
But I would pick up the book.
So she's
Maybe we
Jason
should like
Smith?
pick it up tonight. I'll ask maybe I'll be there.
Pauline?
Yeah.
Elijah?
I don't know
Malaysia?
any specific thing. I don't know. Whatever you think is good. Like, interesting.
No, you would be like, oh my god, that's so sad. If you would have want to end, that's what it is.
Hey, what are you talking about?
You guys going tomorrow?
I think everybody on the planet Earth is that stupid ass dress by now, okay, guys?
It's like showing 700 different pictures. Yeah, because I'm colorblind. Like I'm gonna see.
Like an orange dress.
Oh, we still want one on.
Purple and orange for me. Yeah. Okay, pink. Alright, listen up. Here's what we're going to do. Today, you guys are going to do an experiment, a lab, where you're going to be, in the group that you're in now, you guys are going to be paleontologists, and you're going to be doing a dig for fossils. There are two different types of fossil bones. Is that thing starting already?
What?
Now listen. You guys are, first of all, let's just take these, pass it back. Everybody gets one of these. Take these, pass it back. Now, the background information talks about what paleontology is and blah, blah. Put away all your cell phones. I don't want to see iPads. Just put them away. Put them in your backpack. Put your, I don't want to see anything dangling from your ears. There's no reason to have any electronics out right now. Okay? Take one, pass it back. What you need to do right now is read the background real quick. Where it's, read where it starts to say procedure. And then read what you need to do in day 1, 2, 3, 4, and day 5. It's very important that you follow the procedure. Everything on your desk should be cleared. So put your binders in your backpacks, put everything on the floor. It's best that your tables are clear. Got it? Now, you guys are going to be going on you're going to be simulating what what paleontologists do when they go and dig up bones and fossils. Notice that it's not as easy as you think. So, one of the questions at the end of this is going to ask you, what do you think the 3 goals of this activity is? It's interesting to see what students say. Okay? Now, there's 2 different types of fossils. Fossils that leave an imprintation, called trace fossils. And then there's fossils of things like bones, structures that become fossilized over time if they die in the right conditions. Not every organism that's ever died has been fossilized. There's a misunderstanding that like every living thing that's ever died, there's its fossil out there somewhere, we just haven't found it. No. In fact, an overwhelming majority of organisms that die, everything about them that was from their bones to their skin to the enamel in their teeth has been biodegraded and returned back into the environment to cycle back into the new living organisms. So things have to not only just die, they have to die in a very particular spot and be preserved in a very particular way. So it makes it very rare just to create a fossil. And then we have to go and we have to find these fossils. So it's like a small fraction multiplied by a small fraction. So that's why the fossil record is very sparse, you know. It's got a lot of gaps. So one thing to know is that only 1% or less than 1% of all living things that have ever lived are what exist today. So in the millions of different species of organisms, from fungi, plants, to insects and birds, all those species represent, put away your cell phone. All those things represent less than 1% of all the organisms that have died. What that means, and it's hard to wrap your brain around, is that 99% of all living things are extinct. Okay? So you guys are going to be doing a little bit of let's see what those things were and how they're related to things today, and that's what paleontologists do. So take about 3 minutes to read the procedure. In about 3 to 4 minutes, I'm going to call on 5 people, and they're going to tell me what we're supposed to be doing and in what order. Okay, so make sure that when I call on you, you know what we're supposed to be doing on day 1. You know what we're supposed to be doing on day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5. The background, take a minute, read the background. You have to read everything in a perfect world, right? I would hope that you would read the background. But there are some questions that you have to answer in the back that it's beneficial to read the background. So go ahead and read the procedure right now, because that's what I'm going to ask you about. All right, I'm calling a couple people real quick. Day 1, let's go with Melissa Vargas. What are we doing day 1? How many bums are we pulling out?
4.
Huh?
4.
4, that's good. So we pull out 4 bums. we get together, Henderson's over there. We get together, you pull out 4 bones. Everybody's going to be getting different envelopes. There's only 2 different types of fossils here. There's fossil A and fossil B. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to alternate. So that group, don't open up the fossils yet. You're not supposed to have the skeletal resource on your desk yet. I know it was probably here from the last one. I know. So like, just make sure you don't have that yet. We grab it from right up here. You guys are going to be grabbing on the inside of these, of these envelopes, and you're just going to randomly pick out 4 bones. When you do that, you'll look at the data table, and the data table will then tell you what do these bones look like. And what they mean is, what type of bones do you think you pulled out? Was it a skull? Was it a claw? Was it a flipper? Was it a backbone? Was it a toe? I don't know. What type of bone? And then the next row of day 1 column, you'll notice this is all in the data table, guys, right? Second page, right here. It says, what type of animal do you think this is? As a group, you guys are going to debate. You're going to be like, I think it's this, I think it's that, blah, blah, blah. And you'll write down whatever you think it is. Some of you might be like, you're an idiot, I don't think that. Well, you know what? Stick with your guts. Don't worry about what the rest of the group is. You're your own individual. And then lastly, explain why you think that is. So then, day 2. Tracy, how many bones are we pulling out in day 2?
Day 2.
3 more. Okay, so now we have a total of how many bones on the table, class? 7. But on day 2, it's going to ask you the same questions. It's going to ask you, what do your fossils look like? What they're asking is the new 3 fossils that you just pulled out. So what do those new 3 fossils look like? You know, 2 of them might look like one thing, the other one might look like the other. All 3 might look like 3 different body parts. I don't know. Now, here's the key. Ask you again, what animal do you think this looks like? You may stick with your original assumption, right? I assume this because of whatever reason, that this is I don't know, some sort of lizard or whatever. Well, maybe you got 3 new bones and you're like, oh, well, hold on, slow down. You might want to change your animal at that point. Day 3, Pauline, how many bones for day 3?
3.
Another 3. So how many total bones do we have after day 3? 10. So you fill out those 3 columns and all 3 rows, right? And then you get to day 4. You got 10 bones. Day 4. Lily, what's going on day 4?
Day 4.
Right, from when you just read the procedure, right?
Yeah, sorry, I forgot.
Okay.
You show your friends the skeletons you found, and then yeah, that's what he says.
Yeah, there's one more thing that is very important that what it does. Bria.
Compare
Compare with whom?
with your group next to you.
Yeah, don't compare with the group right next to you because they have a totally different fossil, right?
What?
Okay, you guys are group B, right? Compare with the other group B over there. Or maybe come over here and look at this group B. Imagine this, we're in Montana. You and I, we're digging up fossils. 15, 20 miles away in Montana, another group of guys, they found the same similar fossil. It's not like there's only one of these organisms that lived at that time, right? There were herds of them. Maybe some died, volcanic eruption. A couple died over here, 15 miles away, the same fossil. We're both digging up what we think to be is the same fossil, right? The same species. So you come over here and be like, oh, what'd you guys find? And they found maybe different bones, and they arranged it maybe differently. Now, after day 4, just use that tissue paper right there, that toilet paper roll. I didn't wipe my ass with it, it's so clean. Come on. There you go, fresh, clean. I love how that's on video. I know, so people have a weird thing about using toilet paper to like blow their nose.
Who does it? That's so weird.
It's
I know this. That's so
Am I the only one that uses toilet paper to blow their nose?
I like those big, there's like clinics in town where they have like kids inside.
I'm just giving you immediate solution to your problem right now. Like if you need to blow your nose right now, I have this.
Yeah, well, I don't.
I had lemonade yesterday.
Go ahead. All right. All right. You guys are group A, right? So you're going to be comparing with other group A's. So you just walk around with it.
go back, and then now you may have changed your assumption after looking at other groups. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe it's the same. Maybe they did the exact same thing as you did. Who knows? Maybe in my previous classes when they were putting the bones back in the envelopes, just totally screwed up because they're idiots. I don't know. Hopefully not. Then day 5. Who wants to tell me what happens in day 5?
Get a skeleton.
Oh, say that, Eve.
Get a skeleton packet thing, and then you see what kind of animal it is.
Okay. So, A, it's not called a skeleton packet thing. It's called a skeleton resource manual. I got that from a fellow teacher. Sure, right? Alright, here's what my students have been doing wrong. Guys, I wanna make sure that you guys don't make the same mistake as previous students. They go grab this packet and they come back. It's day 5. And they're like, okay, let's check to see what our animal was. No, 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 no. This is not the key. This is not look at your bone and see if it was one of these animals. These are the skeletons. You ready?
Yeah.
Of organisms that are alive today. You are digging up a what? An old ass fossil, right? Could be 20 million years, could be 200 million years, could be 300. Yeah, you'd have to date the rocks. Now, you're going to look at your fossil, and you're going to look at this. You're going to look at this skeleton. That's why you're not supposed to eat in class.
What?
No, that's why people say no. Try not to get peach juice all up on my fossils. Please. I'm actually going to play that back on video. Is that in the frame of the video of you? No,
I think that was in the frame of the video.
No. What'd you do? Throw?
I did throw it, but I missed and I hit the wall.
She had so much force,
And I threw it and I hit the wall.
It hit the floor?
Yeah.
So you were just like this?
It's peach juice on the floor, yeah.
Guys, she plays softball.
Awesome. Awesome. All right, guys, so when you look at this, looking at current fossils may, once again, have you think about your fossils for the final time. Now, when you're done with this, after day 5, I don't even have to tell you, most students will do this on their own. They're going to dump out the rest of the fossils and then try to figure it out on their own. Now, but don't dump out the rest of the fossils until you're totally done with day 5. When you're done, 10 questions, 10 conclusion questions. I'm going to put 20 minutes on the clock, or 20, 25 minutes. At 25 minutes, I expect you guys to have conclusion questions done, right? Those conclusion questions are more about the process than it is about the fossil. So keep that in mind. So, anybody have any questions? All right. I'm going to leave these up here when it comes to day 5. Get cracking.
We each pull out one or two, pull out a two. No, we need to pull out 3 or 4.
Day 1
Okay. This looks like a vertebrae. Yeah. This looks like a tail.
Oh yeah.
And this looks. Yeah. The spine.
It wasn't that funny, but you Alright.
Maybe it looks like a dinosaur. I
think it's asking for what parts do we have. That's what Mr. Beer said,
Oh,
right?
okay. The second the wing bone.
So we have the upper jaw.
This really is but like, alright, maybe, I don't know what your volume was like. Alright, I have no idea.
Okay.
Alright, we'll just say it's like two legs.
Well, these three parts don't really tell us much, but I think what will tell us the most is the skull. So it has sharp teeth, so I think it's a carnivore, and it's kind of long. So I don't know, it kind of looks like a reptile. Maybe it's a dinosaur.
Alright. Okay.
But this tail is really thin.
3 more fossils. Alright, I'm really lost now.
Wait, it may be a velociraptor because this is a really tiny rib cage.
Yeah.
So this is probably a really small dinosaur. So it runs really fast. So I'm just gonna go with It indicates that it's a smaller animal rather than a really big one like a dinosaur.
Dogs are throwing me off.
I think that was the.
Maybe this guy's been like a lady killer over here. You're like the 18th woman to come in here asking for Gerard. What's going on, Gerard? Gerard, they're beckoning you again.
Okay.
Don't be too long to feed you.
He tells me that head of yours. Photography.
Like my whole life would be alive. One day Gerard was just like bam, and then it Alright, day 4.
They probably did. Like the last
This is for sure.
Right, that fast.
Wait. I thought we were doing this in actual days. We're doing this now?
That's like the day.
Wait, maybe not. No, but I think it's just a scenario.
Okay, I
Like number 1. No, maybe
okay.
stomach.
No, that's the top, I think. That's probably the back. So,
I bet you look at that.
You think you could be the big one from the back?
Oh, why did you take that?
If you think about it, what do you think?
yeah, that could be at the end of
You guys are the ones that
It asks to grab that one. Grab the one. Hold it up. Jordan, let me ask you a question. What's that bone look like to you? What's that bone?
Whale.
says an arm or leg, then you should write an arm or
I'm not
leg.
sure. So do we still think it's like the velociraptor or something?
Is what type of meat, and then together, then you can say what type of animal. I don't know. Now, you're assuming that there's a there's a goal. Like in the finish line, we're all trying to get to.
Okay, because both the femur and the
We're all not trying to get to the right animal. That's not what happens. It's not like the scientists go dig up like the dinosaur bones, and then they're like ask some all-powerful little person like, hey, what dinosaur is
The
this?
arms I think are really small.
Because you know,
Right?
maybe they found a new one that there's no evidence.
How does that look?
Mr. Vieira.
Yeah.
What are the dot.
Like a piece of the bone that was probably missing or like broken down.
They have a straight spine. They said it's like this, and then it's the whale.
No, we're still on day 2.
I know, they don't. Yeah, 2 more in each. They don't have teeth. Yeah, that's the dinosaur. We're sticking to our gun. What's your fossil? So I guess
Are you guys on day 4?
right there.
Are you guys on day 4?
We are. Come to our table right there.
It's a whale. There's no way. There's no way.
Yeah, I'm not eating them right now.
Okay, it might be like this. Yeah. It looks like a dinosaur rabbit though.
We're stealing her back.
Yeah, good, Jason?
Like, that's how mine fell off.
It said,
What would it be if you rearranged the letters? Like if it was ASM? Or like
I
SAM?
spelled Sam.
SAM? It would have been Sam.
It's
That spells Sam. Get it right.
Alright.
I need water.
Small legs and it goes
This time, bam, all the everything, and what was that time is gone, and now it's nothing. So,
That's cool. Then do something about it. Like, she should.
That's
this is the frequency of the gene type. 50% and
I
about
got the whole room like that.
started to
That's a whale.
and then I'd ask questions like, see this divergence, how can I keep this more steady? Always 25 by 25. And then you go like this.
Like, it's a
Wait, no, I think we took all the ones we had. So now we need to go compare with another.
0.8.
Alright, it's a cat. It's a cat rabbit.
Using the heterozygous slightly. This means it's for every like 100 people that are heterozygous, that they survive and have babies, about 8 to 8 years. Meaning that these guys have 8 years less than these guys. This value has to be less than 1.
Record that.
That's 0.5 one way.
It has a really small top. So it's probably
Oh, bad. It is bad. It's true.
Population, the frequency of
honestly, I mean,
this is what we're trying to start with. Oh, this is the time.
it's not a shark.
Generations.
That yeah, this definitely is not like 2 days. When does it start?
Two sharks have
You're always around. You're like, yeah, I do. I touch my yeah. You guys are the smartest.
Or could this, or one of these?
You guys don't listen to him.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, how many questions have we have answered of those 10 on the back?
5.
Okay, so we need probably another, what, 10 minutes?
Yeah.
We are doing a second lab today.
What? Hell no.
Because,
She means
let me rephrase it. You're going to be drawing pictures and rolling dice.
Oh,
Okay, I get that. Yeah, you cool with that? Okay, I hate it. I hate it. When I get up out of my chair, kids come and swoop in on it.
Well, it's a good chair.
Yeah, I know, I know.
You said it was slippery.
It is good. Wait, Jesus, what's that?
Let me move my foot.
Where are these arms?
You guys want to do
What?
She's caring about you like this.
Shoulder, no.
Sorry. I don't need to be sensitive.
Yeah.
Get it.
It would be good to
Yeah.
make too early.
You guys are B, right?
Exactly. We grab the package.
They're good swimming, God just age. What the dogs are, is carnival pieces over there. The dogs are carnival. I'm about to shake you. You said you're a carnival. Get to your. This. Okay, so there's added looking like something like that. Okay, so wait, there's over there. What do you do? Is there like, is that what Henry or? You don't know that.
Yeah, you are working.
I live on land.
Yeah.
In the forest.
There, better.
There you go. One step closer.
No, I don't want to go in that direction.
No, study fish. They try just so fossils. It's a well, wasn't that? Yes. I'll say.
Yeah.
20 years ago, I had a man. Your mom loved us. So you get. I
think she just said
Chris, what's your second team?
Sorry.
Why'd you come
I said it right here.
Are you okay? Why did I just have these?
Maybe it's a cat, you guys.
Oh, yeah, I see.
Where's Miss Adams?
Oh, I found it. I found it.
It's an aquatic animal because of its flat, because it's flat, and it's an alligator. No, hippo did not have shrimp. It's an alligator. No, they have flat teeth. But they do attack people. You don't want people to die of hippo's attack. You should have more people die of hippo's attack.
What do you guys think it is? Bird? What? No. Look. Oh, damn. Actually, maybe it's got little feet in the front.
Little feet?
No.
It's gonna be one.
So 3.
Yeah, that's what I said. Or 2.
Gonna ruin her day.
Number 6.
Oh, yours is the bones on top.
Who's the boss?
Maybe it has a mutation and that one bone is longer than Nemo. You got a Nemo bag.
6 and 12.
Or is it a salamander?
I take all the 7.
Oh my god.
Chill.
Okay, you want to know raise the stakes.
It's purple.
I was lying. If the bird
I swear.
it has to be visualized. But the actual
Oh yeah, no, but let's put it away.
Alright, so what are you doing? Have a turn 166. Oh, right, number 7.
How funny was that? Everyone was like, everyone was so cute. You're like, everyone was like, that was the funniest thing, but it's just me.
I guess I can take all. I don't want to best 2. That's too easy.
What if it was a cat? That's not
Between.
Everyone was like, that was the funniest thing.
Oh, okay, fine.
I'm killing it, but I'm killing the game. Like,
30.
Look at you. Let me see. It's like supposed to be very possible. Look at her. Let me see. Actually, it's such a cool
Yeah.
I literally look the exact same. Everyone was like,
I never did.
yeah, right here. So unnecessary. Yeah.
I truly did.
You put it over the ruler.
Now it's there you go. I'll show you what I'm doing.
Yeah. Needed it.
Guys, catch it. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it. I was gonna hit him a Leah, but
I didn't throw it.
no, she's not holding that.
Does that shit sometimes? What? I have like a 400-second story. And I'm just like, no, I don't. I've never made it over 120 in my life.
You're such a liar.
You can lie.
You
I had 300
can
the other day.
suck my ass from the inside.
Okay, first of all, nobody wants to hear that ever. Ever. That visual is horrible. And the fact that it's on video and it's going to be on Pally Productions webpage makes it even worse.
Looking at me when they post it.
Alright, listen up. Okay, I want to go over a couple of these and we're moving on to lab number 2, so I'll wait till you're done talking. Guys, I'll wait. You guys have plenty of time to collaborate. Question number 1, I'm going to start calling on random people. It's not really random, but... what is it? Actually, let's go with... Thank you. Alright. Kamara, what is a paleontologist?
We just said they study fossils.
They study fossils, yes. A lot of people think that they study dinosaurs. That is not true. That's too narrow of a focus. Some paleontologists only study dinosaurs because that's their kind of forte, but paleo just means ancient, right? And they just study any sort of fossil. It could be long before the dinosaurs. Dinosaurs were from about 250 million years ago to about 65 million years ago, in between the two main mass extinctions. They roamed the planet during what we call the Mesozoic era. There are 4 main eras: Precambrian, Paleozoic, Mesozoic, and then Cenozoic, which is what we're in today. Cenozoic has only been the last 65 million years, only, right? Only the last 65 million years. It's actually the shortest of all the eras. But the era before that, which was marked at the end when the meteorite hit, and there's probably a lot of other things going on over the course of like hundreds of thousands of years that caused the extinction of the dinosaurs, which entered us into a new era and a new type of living things that thrived. There are 5 main mass extinctions. A mass extinction is anything that killed over 50% of the living species. We know that it's a mass extinction because we look at the fossil record, and then over maybe 1 million years or so, we see a lot of these fossils just disappear. So we assume that they went extinct. And so something must have caused, some sort of huge shift in the environment must have happened. And that's what paleontologists study, and other scientists as well. Question number 2, I might get answers from multiple groups. What assumptions did you make at day 1, in the beginning, that made it pretty difficult for you to figure out how to build this thing all the way up into day 5? So anybody want to explain to me, like, what were you guys thinking in the beginning that made the end, as you guys progressed, made it a little bit difficult? Yeah.
So at first we were getting bones that we just could not figure out how to piece together. And as we went along, like, it wasn't making any sense at all. So we just kind of started guessing and putting random-ish sort of things together. And they didn't look much like anything until we actually saw this.
Oh, Okay, so in the beginning and middle and end, it didn't really make any sense until you actually looked at skeletons of organisms and see what bones actually look like and where they would be on the organism. Good. Anybody think it was something in the beginning and then towards the end you're like, oh man, that was, yeah. Yeah, but there's lots of different dinosaurs. What type of dinosaur? Pterodactyl, there you go. And then what did you think towards the end? Did you maintain that the entire time? Okay. So that's going to lead us to actually another, yeah, what did you guys think?
I thought it was a whale so bad. Because, I don't know, because it had like a little finger. One of the bones was a finger, and I swear that, like, you said that mammals went in the water.
Yeah.
And whales.
We have, what do we call structures that you'll see in homologous structures? Yeah, so like whales have fingers. They don't need fingers, they have fins. Why do they have fingers? Because they have same structures because they're mammals of the common animals. What did you guys think at the beginning, Drew?
Oh, well at first I thought it was a velociraptor
I love it.
because it kind of had a small rib cage, so I didn't think it was a really big animal. And then as it kind of progressed, we got more of the rib cage, and it kind of had two backbones that looked like they might be wings. And also the pelvis was really small, so I thought it probably couldn't hold that big of strong legs.
Yes, Dr. Dunn, yes. Yeah. I mean, that's,
My first impression was a bird, and it turned out to be a bird.
Okay, well, I mean, yes, we think. I mean, I don't know. Is it? We don't know.
I just looked at me.
I like this question. Did any group members resist changing their, as we got new ideas? Or did everybody's like, oh, you think it's a bird now? Okay. Or was anybody like, no, it's a whale. It's definitely a whale. You see a little bit of that, yeah?
Like, sort of. It was kind of like, he was just like, no, it cannot be a cat. Like, at all, but that's, and he was just like, it's either a cat or a rabbit. So.
You guys got years looking at a cat. Wow. Okay, did you guys go and look at other groups? No. That was what you're just. What were you supposed to do on day 4?
We looked at the supposed to do that.
Okay, well that's but that's the thing. You guys, they found a similar fossil, and you look over here, and your response is, "What the hell is that?" Right? And they look at you, and they're like, "What the hell is that?" Right? Yeah. Now, that's what I'm looking for, right? You guys are getting extra information. You might look. Now that's a different species. Did anybody? You guys said A. What about the people that had envelope A? Did you go to another group and be like, what are they doing? Did you get anything like that? Did you look at anybody's other group? Did everybody look exactly like what you were doing?
Nope.
Yes? No?
Yes.
Well, we went over there and she was like, it's a fucking whale.
Might have been one.
What the heck?
It's okay to say that. I don't care what the kids.
No, it's not. It's totally not. All of them is not. No. Oh my God, you kidding me? What?
I think
What does, do you think this scenario, what you guys just experienced, is a train wreck at sometimes, but it's beautiful in others, is typical at how scientists create and revise? What does revise mean? Go back and maybe change, yeah, fix it up, modify. You think this is typical of what happens in real science? Not that this is not real science, but in like the real world of paleontology? Do you think this is typical? Probably. Okay. What does your experience tell you about the work of scientists? Yeah, you like, I don't want to do this such. Did this kind of, what sort of insight did this experiment, this activity tell you about how a day in the life of a paleontologist is like? Versus maybe what you thought about before you did this. Frustrating. A lot of trial and error. Good. I think people think that science is just show up in your lab coat and you follow the procedure, and at the end of the day, oh, we just learned something new.
Is that what you're supposed to do?
You think. You guys, did you guys utilize any sort of creativity today at all?
Yeah, he needs a lot of different animals.
Do you think that maybe creativity, imagination, these types of qualities, would that be a good quality to have in a scientist?
Yeah.
Yeah. Not like, meet, must be like this, linear thinking, right? A lot of people think that that's how science is. But sometimes it's good to have an open mind and have a creative mind and think outside of the box. Because with science, you know, we don't know exactly how to create experiments and answer the questions around us. Science is a process, right? This is a process that it's been around for a long time. At some point, the world thought that the earth was flat. They didn't think that the earth was flat because every human being was stupid. They thought that for a reason. Scientists thought that you could actually perform an experiment. Put a ball on the ground, and if it doesn't roll, there, I've just concluded that the earth is flat. Put a boat in the ocean, and the boat's not like going to one side. Well, there, the earth is flat. Look to the left and look to the right, and the horizon seems pretty flat. There, the earth is flat. I've done my data, I've collected my evidence, the earth is flat, right? Until we get more evidence and better tools and a different way or perspective to look at that. And then now that we have new evidence, we have to revise our assumptions, and now the earth is not flat, it is round. So, the process of science did not change. Gathering, you know, making a guess, gathering evidence, and then drawing conclusions, that is consistent. So, one thing that I want you to know is that as we gather new evidence, what sometimes has to happen? You have to throw away old assumptions or beliefs. Can we change our theories once we state them? Yeah, as we get new evidence. Does that mean if we were wrong, you know, they used to think that the Brontosaurus had a specific skull on it. It was in the museums and they realized, oh, we put the wrong skull on this organism. Oops, my bad. Do we just totally like, oh, paleontologists and your fossils, you got that wrong? I'm never going to listen to you guys again. You're totally wrong. Fossils are bogus. Should we throw the baby out with the bathwater? Throw the baby. You never heard that? It's a horrible saying. It is a little bit.
One more time.
Just because something isn't 100% perfect all the time doesn't mean that you have to abandon it, because there is still some good that comes from science, right? It's an idiom. It's an idiom. It's a cultural idiom.
Idiotic saying.
You guys have never heard that saying before?
Throw the baby away.
Guys, no one's throwing any babies in the trash. When the baby takes a bath, the water gets dirty. It's not like you're like, oh, I'm going to toss the baby out with this bath water because the bath water is dirty. Meaning that science is the best thing we got in terms of explaining natural phenomena. Science is a process. Is science 100%? No. Perfect. Sometimes we get a little bit of dirty bath water with it. It doesn't mean that we get rid of science altogether, right? Okay?
Science is the baby.
Science is the baby. And sometimes science has to be changed and modified because we get new information. And we're like, oh man, we thought it was that. We thought that right now there's a new field, not really new, but of genetics called epigenetics that's getting a lot of attention. And we always thought that you were born a certain way and there was nothing you can do to change it. And over the course of your life, your experience on Earth, your environment might have changed your behaviors. But, you know, the genes that your dad gave you, I mean, that was it. Like, you were born with that. And it's not like you can change your genes based on your lifestyle, right? Your genes are your genes, and that's it. Well, what we're starting to learn is that the things that you do over the course of your life can actually alter your genes a little bit, and you can pass that on. So what we're starting to think is your lifestyle and the life that you live may alter and affect the genes that you give your children, even if they were like taken from you and raised in a different part of the world and not raised by you. So this idea that like, even though I live a crappy life, it's not like I'm gonna pass on the effects of that, right, onto my children. Not that like you could genetically inherit a crappy lifestyle, but the idea that what you do on this throughout your lifetime does actually affect your genes. I don't want to get into epigenetics.
Let's do it.
I have a question.
Yes.
So you know that guy that said that with the big claw, since he had a big claw?
Lamarck, yes.
So you're saying that his theory...
There is some, there is some credence to that, yeah. But at the end of the day, you're still inheriting the genes. It's the genes that are giving you your phenotype. It's the expression of those genes, how much of that gene is expressed, the ability to access those genes that may become altered in some way or another. Okay, now, here's what I want you to do. If you're not done with these questions, that's fine, just finish them in a little bit. I need you to put away all the bones in the envelope, stack them in the right piles. I need you to then put all the resource manuals, put them in the right piles, and then I need you to grab one of these things called Lab Build-A-Beast and bring it back to your table.
Should I do that?
Yeah, I heard my name.
I didn't really get the first one. I don't know what that is.
Yeah,
It's like, where are you eating more? What happened? Yeah, there you have it. Yeah.
You keep that. Don't turn that in.
What's the name? Is it? Today's 28. No, there's a turn off. Do you pluck it out? Do you pluck your throat out in the morning? No, like you puff it out.
Oh, yeah.
Because I can see like you have like your fine curls out. Yeah, my cousin does that too.
They were talking so much.
Okay, everybody have their lab Build-A-Beast now? Okay, let's move on to the second lab. Come on, guys.
Savage.
Ready? Everybody has a lab Build-A-Beast in front of them. Okay, take Build-A-Beast a little bit. Okay, I would like everybody to silently, for about 3 minutes, stop and read the background right now. Everybody stop, read the background.
Just pass it here. Just pass it. Maybe.
Everybody should be reading the background.
This world has been around. You guys been around for 4 billion years.
What do you think? Do we circle the answers that are in the back? Do we circle whatever the answers are? I know, but it doesn't answer.
Okay. Some of you may need a couple more minutes for reading you do that on your own. Now, here's the deal. You either as a group or individually can create your own habitat. Sometimes the habitat doesn't make perfect sense. You're like, how can I be near a volcano that has like very little water when I live in the ocean or something like that? You're like, well, make it. You're like on an island, the ocean's around it or something. Yeah, figure it out. Now, you have 5 elements that you're going to be creating these environmental factors that are going to act as selective pressures that are going to wean you guys out. And so only the individuals that have these adaptations that have evolved over millions of years are going to be the ones that survive. So that's how we shape these species. There's a sentence in the background that I hate. And it goes a little something like this. And somebody raise their hand and tell me why Miss Vera doesn't like this sentence. In order to survive in an environment, an animal needs to adapt to develop traits that fit it to where it lives. David.
Is that sort of like that actually?
So yeah, so that's what it's telling. But what's wrong with that sentence in terms of creating a misconception to students about how natural selection works? Gerard.
Maybe it's saying that the animal just creates the new trait in the middle of their life rather than over time the overall population develops that trait.
Good. You wanted to add to that? Said something about what actually creates these mutations. It sounds like it happens by the decision of the animal. Like they're going to get together and be like, oh man, that lava just made the rocks dark. We should probably start to do what with our fur? Turn dark. Is that what happens? No. What happens is there was always variation in the population to begin with. The variation was caused by the fact that everybody has different DNA that's, from random genetic mutations from time to time. The different DNA that is beneficial starts to increase in number. The one that kind of sucks, they start to drop in number. So let's create the environment first. Part A, where do I live? Number 3, I live where, guys? A rocky, no, you don't circle that. I'm just doing an example. Yeah. And then I roll for how much water there is, and what the climate's like, and what do I eat, like what's my food, and what eats me, what's my predator. And you're going to create and think about some adaptations. Now, they don't always have to be physical. That's like something that you're going to draw, because you are going to draw your organism. You're going to draw your organism, okay, in a piece of paper that I'm going to give you. On a piece of paper that I'm going to give you that's going to look like this. It's going to be over here, grab me. It's going to look like this, guys. It's going to say Lab Build a Beast. You're going to draw your picture here of your organism. And on the top, you're going to write a small description It's in the description that you can explain to me about maybe a behavior that I can't see on the drawing. Now, if I'm looking at the drawing, you got to explain to it, you got to explain your drawing as it matches its habitat. Why did you draw it that way? Because it lives in this, and because it eats this, and because these things eat it. Right? Its predators, whatever it is, well, it's got to have an adaptation to fight off the predators. Its food, whatever it is, well, it has an adaptation to be able to catch that food. Right? And then you got the 10 questions on the back. Mr. Vieira, where do we find these 10 questions? They're on the original piece of paper of the lab that you were circling all the environmental factors on. This is the only one that matters to me. This is the one that goes in your binder check. Okay? This one right here. I'm going to pass these out to you in a second. Now I'm going to give you guys some dice. One per table. Now you can take turns rotating, or you guys can do one environment for all 4 of you guys at the table. I don't really care, okay? Once you guys create, take one, pass it down. Once you guys take one pass down. Once you guys create your environment, right? Then get to adapt this.
Yeah, actually.
This is where you guys are going to be drawing. Whatever you want. This is where you're going to draw this stuff. Draw it on here. Draw it on here. Yeah, I'm going to print out more of these. Yeah, just describe your guys. Be
Mine sounds a lot like it. Mine lives in a cave. There's almost no water. Moderate temperature. Eats flying insects. And the devil set gooey traps to catch it. Cave? Oh no.
I'm coming with those pieces of papers that you're going to write the answers in the drawing.
Wait, why does it say part 2? It says part 2.
What does it say? It says a web double. It says gooey trap.
Wait, are you supposed to...
Yeah, the environment is not just like the actual physical environment, but also the food that it eats. So you have to have adaptations for that. And the things that eat it, its predator. So if I'm being eaten by something that sets gooey traps, like you mentioned a spider, the web, the web being its trap, well then what do I have as an adaptation to help me not get stuck to that thing or whatever? Yeah.
So we just draw the environment, we just draw what
Just draw the organism. If you want to put the environment in the background, have a blast.